What's going on? It's Taisophon, coming back at you guys with another video talking about things I disliked about Final Fantasy XVI after completing the game. Now, if you haven't checked out my last video that I made on Final Fantasy XVI titled 5 Things I Liked About Final Fantasy XVI, I would recommend you go and check that video out too. So let's get into it. 5 things that I disliked about Final Fantasy XVI. Number 1. No elemental weaknesses. You would think, this being a Final Fantasy game, let alone an RPG game, there would be some type of elemental weakness mechanic in here, right? No, there's literally none to be found in the game at all. Needless to say, this really tampered with my experience when playing this game, as I'm used to older Final Fantasy titles making the player have to take into account which element will dish out the most damage to the target they're fighting against. I came into this game thinking I would have to switch back and forth between icons to suit whatever enemies I would encounter in whatever specific area or part of the map, but I was wrong. There's no need for that at all in this game. I miss the days where you had to use the scan ability or equip something that lets you see your target's elemental affinities because it gave you a better idea how to take the enemy down. But in this game, you pretty much approach every battle in a similar fashion regardless of what icon elements you have at your disposal. It just made for a very unsatisfying experience at times. Number 2, the pacing. I didn't like the pacing of the story in this game at all. At all. There were too many times in the game where the story would start getting good, and then once you get to the hideout after a chapter ends, you get bombarded with side quests and other random jobs that the main quest forces you to do. Those long, drawn out 45-minute cutscenes, I did not like that. All those side quests that pop up after completion of a chapter, I did not want to do that. The fetch quests that were mid has you retrieving all the parts to build the Enterprise. Like, come on, Square Enix. You ever watch an anime and you get to the part in the story where there's a whole bunch of filler episodes in there? That's what the pacing in this game feels like. Number 3, lack of playable and functional party members. I'm fully aware of the direction they wanted to go with this game, where they wanted Clive to be like the sole playable character, and that's fine, but it's just very un-Final Fantasy to me that we journey through the game mostly as a one-man army. Even when you do get party members on your side, other than Torgal, they don't really do much in battle. I remember there was one moment where I was fighting against an enemy. For a few seconds I stopped swinging my sword for a bit just to observe my surroundings, and I panned the camera a little bit just to see Jill standing there not attacking the enemy at all. Out of all the AI controlled party members, I felt like Sir Wade and Joshua were preeminent compared to some of the other party members in the game, but it still wasn't anything groundbreaking. You couldn't customize party members' behaviors, you couldn't turn on or off certain moves that they use, similar to how skills work in games like Kingdom Hearts or the Tales of series. Just overall, party members outside of Torgal didn't feel like they had a purpose on the field with you. It didn't change the momentum of the combat whatsoever. They were just there for story purposes. I don't see how someone could say that Final Fantasy XVI's combat is superior to like Final Fantasy VII Remake's combat because of this. That game did a great job making party members actually feel useful in battle, and they were playable. Number 4, lack of status ailments. Again, we go back to the problems with the combat in this game and it not feeling like a true RPG game or a true Final Fantasy game, if you will. Remember when party members would fall in combat and you had to dig through the menus to find a Phoenix down? None of that exists in this game. Remember when you would inflict blind status when you use Dark Attack with Walka to lower the accuracy of the enemy like in the Evray boss fight? There's nothing like that here in 16. You know, the good old days where you had to cast haste so that you and your party members could act faster and have shorter cooldowns, or when you would cast Karaga to keep your HP topped off. Now you only have potions, high potions, elixirs, and I think Torgal casts this half-ass regen skill on you that recovers HP over time very slowly, which I don't think is that effective at all in battle. No reflect magic to repel enemy moves. I think the closest to that you're gonna get is the Will-o'-the-Wisp move, which defends against most attacks. All of this just proves that 16 isn't an RPG game, it's more of an action game. Last but definitely not least, number 5, Jill. This character disappointed me a lot. I went in thinking she was going to be a super badass character, considering that she was a dominant like Clive, and ended up just being another baseless character. It didn't help that she was the dominant of one of my favorite Final Fantasy summons. She has the personality of like a stay-at-home mom, which is crazy that I say that because I don't even really know what that means, but it just sounds like a fitting description for her character. I do like the fact that they kept her very feminine. You know, she has like a really supportive kind of personality. She's very supportive of people around her, especially Joshua and Clive, always making sure that they're okay and safe from danger. She was loyal to Clive even after they separated for over a decade. As much as the community likes to shit on Jill as a character, I think we can appreciate the fact that she stays very ladylike throughout the game, which is rare among female characters nowadays in gaming, where they're being over-sexualized or put into masculine roles and given masculine personality traits. But even still, I expected her to have more of a presence in this game than she did, and it sucked watching her be overshadowed by characters like Dion, Benedicta, and Sid, who all had less screen time than her throughout the game. That's all I got for 5 things I disliked about Final Fantasy 16. I'm pretty sure there are more things in the game that turned me off to it, but these are the ones that stood out to me the most. It would be cool if you told me your dislikes about the game as a whole in the comment section down below. Don't forget to hit the like button and hit the subscribe button as well. This has been Taisophon, and I'm out, people. Later.